All right, guys. So, here's the deal. We just got the top put on, and that didn't happen today. This is an evening after work, but we got the top put on a couple days ago, and got it sealed, and I think everything's worked out. And at this time, the root cellar is pretty much ready. I've been working on the top and doing some different things, and I've sort of jumped over a step that would have probably made life easier for me. The sooner that you can seal the block and get it backfilled, well, then you're not working around this big ravine, this big hole, this ditch, you know, that you have limited access. Now, I can walk around this thing. If I'd had a bigger piece of equipment when I dug the hole, I'd probably give myself more room. However, you, like me, may not have the piece of equipment to get the bigger hole conveniently, so I've just dealt with it. So I stopped today on the way home from work, and I went ahead and picked up the compound that we're going to use to seal the root cellar. It's a asphalt rubberized base foundation sealant. That's what I'm going to use. And so I was reading on there's a couple different kinds. So what do you need, right? So what I've found out, they make a solvent-based material that's probably, in my old school opinion, probably the stuff with a solvent base is going to be a little bit better. And then they make a water base. However, the solvent base said that everything has to be, you know, perfectly dry and perfectly clean and all this, that, and the other. And of course, the water-based material said it needed to be clean, and the building's fairly clean, but it's a root cellar. It's it's in the ground. You got rain, moisture. There's some moisture still in these blocks. So I've elected to use a water-based sealant. The drying time, the backfill time is a lot shorter. We're hoping it does a good job. And, we can contend with some humidity and moisture. We just don't want water leaking in. So I think the water-based sealant is going to work fine for our project, as opposed to the solvent base, which has the drying time of like 60 days. I don't want to wait that long. We're going to put the water-based sealant on. We're going to put probably some kind of protection as we put the gravel in, once we get the drain in. But anyway, let me show you this sealant. So here's the sealant that I've got. I hope it works great. I think it will. It's for roofs and foundations. Picked this up at the local big box store. It's water-based, low odor. So I'm hoping it'll do the job that we need to do, not be too miserable to put on. I don't have to worry about the dampness. And so let me get the roller. I'm going to try to roll it. It says here that you can roll it. The solvent base didn't have a roller on there. It just had the brush. And that sort of made it a little scarier too, getting down in there trying to get it all brushed on and not miss no spots. So we're going to give it a go. I've got a long handle roller, and I'm going to try to do most of it. Well, I'll get the bottom. I'll walk back in there and get the bottom, and then once I do that, hopefully we can lay on the roof and paint most of it. So let's give it a go. Here I am back in the hole. I've dropped some debris back in here, and it ain't too bad. But I'm going to get what I can of it up. Some of it's mortared. This is right on the foundation, so I think I'm going to rake the sleeve and the walnut holes up anyway. Try to get some of this out of the way. If I can get this bottom side, like I said, I think I can get the rest of it. I want this sealant to run down and overlap this foundation just a little bit. My drain's going to be laying on top of this foundation. Now, if I get a little sealant dripping down the wall, running out on the foundation, then I think I'll have a better barrier. They just ain't much room to work in here. And like I said, if you've got a nice big backhoe or something, I would advise that you give yourself a little more room to work, unlike me. Yeah, we'll learn as we go. Ain't got no room to work. All right, already pouring a sweat, man. Whew. We had a couple cool days at the end of August. We're in September now. But I thought this hot weather was over, but I don't guess it is. But anyway, so I got my ceiling on the roof. I'm gonna see how much of it I can reach from up here. I'm gonna try it. If I can get all the way down to the bottom with this long handle roller and my arm, then I won't have to work back in there, and that'll be good. If I find out that if I like a little bit, I've got two choices. I can either stop and go back there and do so far up, make sure that I can get it now, and then come back and do the top from overhead. If I start and I get too far along on the top and can't reach the bottom, then I'll have to wait till it's dries to go back there and do the bottom, unless I want to be covered in it. So let's see what we can get to. I'm going to point you over here where you can see what I've got going on. I've got the material up on the deck here, and we'll see what we can do. Oh, I meant to tell you about this. So I got my long handle roller. This is a 3/4 inch nap. I'm wanting it to hold a lot of material. This was recommended for masonry, and that's certainly what we've got. So get you a roller that'll hold some material, and that way you won't have to go to the bucket so much. And it'll fit in all the little grooves and cracks and crevices in our work. See what we got in here. Well, that looks exactly what I thought it would. And I managed to get it on me right off the get-go. So that's perfect. That's just perfect. Now I don't have to worry about getting it on me. A little thick. About like pudding. I think that's probably gonna loosen up a little bit as I go. Yeah. Here we go. Ain't too bad. That ain't too bad. Oh yeah. Getting all the way to the bottom. I'm gonna make sure get it in there good. Press it in. I want it to seal everything up the best I can. If I don't get it the first coat, I'll put another coat on. This ain't gonna be a fast process. We're gonna get her done. Like I said, I'm trying to get all the way to the foot. I'm gonna pick up some garbage and trash. We'll fill that in. This is supposed to be, like I said, it's a rubberized membrane. So if I imagine that correctly, if I get a little dirt in it, it'll just be sealed in there. Anyway, so that's what we got to do. And I ain't looking forward to it. It's already, I done got it on me. I know y'all probably don't want to sit here and watch me roll all this for 2 hours, so I'm going to cut and we'll come back when I get a little further along. Well, good morning, guys. Well, the wall ceiling's complete. Yesterday evening, we talked, and I was in the process of getting this wall sealed, and we've got that accomplished. We got a good coat of the barrier all the way around. And today, we're going to move on with the project. As you can see here, I've got some pipe laying on the ground and some parts and pieces. And we're going to start doing the foundation drain. It's not really a French drain. It's not intended to take surface water and bring it out. But if we get any subsurface water or surface water, either one, we've got to get that water out behind that building in conjunction with the sealant that goes on the block and this drain that's going to come out on both sides, and then it'll wire back in together and drain down through the woods. That's going to keep the building from having seepage issues, water coming in through the block into the building. We want to keep humidity in our root cellar, but we want that controllable. And by preventing water coming in from the dirt, from the earth, the soil, then we can control our own humidity. So let me get a few things together and we'll get started. All right, guys, so I might be ready now. Let me show you what I've done. So I've took my piece of corrugated, well, it's not corrugated, it's perforated pipe, and I've laid it across the top here. What I'm going to try to do, and you can get in behind here and work this pipe in, but since I have limited space, I'm going to try to make it easy on myself. I went ahead and glued a 90 on this end of the pipe, and I hung it over the edge, and that's going to tell me, you know, I don't have to have a measurement. I just got to be able to turn the corner and get around both these corners on this back pipe. I'll have to cut this one pipe right here off so that I can, you know, it's 10 foot, so it's wider than the back. So I'm going to have to cut it off. But I'm going to cut it off and put us another 90 right in that location. It'll lay back in here. Both the 90s will turn that way, and there'll be two full-length sections of pipe that goes along either side. I think it's possible that I can glue and assemble this thing and then ease it back off and lay it down, and I won't have to get back in there. I won't risk knocking more. I've cleaned off the back of the footing, excuse me. I've cleaned off the back of the footing and cleaned the sides. Now, this part back here, the footing's a little wider because we was up against the bank. So on the sides, I'll be tailing off, you know, you've got to have some fall, not a tremendous amount. I think you need a 1/4 inch per foot or something in that nature to get the water out. So let's get this off here and get it cut. All right, guys, so we got our pipe cut. I just hacked it off with a saw, and we're getting ready to glue. We've already glued 190 on the other end of the pipe, and that way that gives us a reference. We laid it up there, we marked it. What we've got to be mindful, this pipe has holes on the bottom side only. So when we put the 90s on, we want to make sure that we glue them in an orientation where the holes are going to be on the bottom. If we put holes, if the holes end up being on the top, then you're going to have 2 or 3 inches that could hold water. If we put them on the bottom, everything that flows to the bottom migrates into the pipe and moves out from behind the foundation out here and drains down through the woods. So I went down to the hardware store. This is a French drain sock, I guess is what you would call it. It's a tubular piece of nylon, some kind of synthetic fabric. It's made approximately 10 foot long. And what this is going to do, once I put this over the pipe, and y'all have to excuse me, we usually in my trade we refer to this as conduit, but the pipe, this will keep small debris, sediment, and silt from clogging up these holes. They may be some that gets here, but for the most part, you know, ain't going to have anything get in there and clog the holes up. So it should make this drain for hopefully indefinitely. So now before I put the 90 on, you see that this is big enough. You could slip it right over the 90 and around. But because of the positioning, before I put this 90 on, I'm going to put this section on, and we'll have it on there. Now the 90s don't have any, hold on just a second, guys. Let's slip it on. About like putting the casing on a sausage horn. The smoother you cut that, the easier it'll be, but as rough as I cut it, it still wasn't too bad. I'm going to put some of this good glue on here. I'm not using any kind of primer because I want it to leak. This pipe is designed for water to infiltrate. I don't see any point in putting a primer on it. It should make the glue stick better, I guess, but once it's got 2 or 3 yards of gravel and 2 or 3 yards of dirt, I don't think it's going anywhere. So we're going to try to slip this on quickly. We got to line it up. Got to get it lined up with the other one. I'm off just a little bit. That's perfect. That's perfect. We're going to let that set up, and then we'll move on to put the rest of our pipe on it. So I'm going to let that set just a few minutes. Well, this would be a dandy time for me to have a shirt mic, but I don't, so I'm going to just holler at you. So I've positioned my pipe. Keep in mind all our holes, and right now the holes are on the bottom, okay? We got to keep in mind that these holes need to be on the bottom as well. And I have them oriented that way. That's about the center right there. So let me get the glue and we'll attach this piece. Okay. Put them in there. And put some in here. Alright. Now, making sure that the hole's on the bottom. Shove it together. Let it sit for a minute. Some of that dirt off of there. A little bit maybe. We're going to take it, get our pipe up, go around the inside real good, go around the outside. Making sure that it's on the bottom. Put it together. Get it good and tight. So if you hold it for a second, it helps. Okay, we got that together. Let's get our socks. I'm not going to jerk this around too much till it dries. Do the best I can with it. A little extra. Alright. Alright, so we found us some tape. When I was talking about, guys, these two socks come together here, and we don't want them to slip back. I'm going to try to drop this off in the hole without getting in the hole. So we're going to see if we can't. This don't have to be pretty. So we just going to put some tape around there, keep that in place. So hopefully that'll do it. Whew. We'll see what we can do. Here. And we're going to lay it on the front. And see if we can grab it and walk it back. And that falling in the hole killing itself. Can't beat that. Well, I couldn't have planned that no better. I dropped it and it fell into place. So, show you what we got. If you'll look, guys, back in there, there's our drain pipe. Fell right into place. It's higher on that end than it is this end. That's important. Going over to the other side. Now you can see right there, this building's longer than 10 foot on the outside, but I've got a coupling here, or a bell end, however you want to say it. I'm going to extend that on out with some regular conduit, and we'll go over that when we get there. But looks good, laying right up against the foundation on that side. Got some nice pitch. That's what we want. You take a look in the back. She's laying right up against the foundation wall. That's just absolutely perfect. We're ready for some gravel. Well, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. Hope it is for you too when you're doing it. So I'm going to get a little gravel. We're going to put it on top of this. A foot or so, if that, will be plenty. And then we can carefully start backfilling. I'm going to try, there's a lot of times they recommend that you put foam board on the outside of this. And mostly what that's for is when you backfill, you're protecting your vapor barrier, your water barrier, by putting the foam board on it. However, this is a root cellar. I want to get all the cold temperature from the ground that I can transferred inside of the building. So putting foam on the part that's up against the earth, I think would be counterproductive. We're just going to be careful.